This video goes through proving trigonometric identities. Now, there are a few tips to help you along the way. First of all, choose the more complicated side of the identity, the one with the more information, to commence the proof. 2, unless the expression contains only tan or cot, simplify everything to sine and or cos. 3, simplify rational expressions by forming a common denominator. And 4, if an impasse is reached and you can't go anywhere, work with the other side of the identity to reach a common expression. So let's look at some examples. The first one, you can see that left-hand side is a lot more complicated. So that's the side we're going to start with. And the other tip was to get a common denominator. So our common denominator would be 1 minus cos x, 1 plus cos x. Okay, so for the first fraction, we've already got the 1 minus cos x, but we need the 1 plus cos x. And for the second fraction, we already have the 1 plus cos x, so we need the 1 minus cos x. So at the top, we now have cos x minus cos x goes. So 2 all over, expand our brackets, and we have 1 minus cos squared x. Now your identity, you know that sine squared x plus cos squared x equals 1. So 1 minus cos squared x has to be sine squared x. So therefore that equals 2 over sine squared x, which is 2 cosec squared x, which is our right-hand side, and we are done. Looking at the next one. Now, I am going to start on the left-hand side. And my key point is if I look on the right, I have a sec x, which is 1 over cos, and I have a tan x, which is sine x over cos x. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go left-hand side equals cos x over 1 minus sine x. I'm kind of going to use my knowledge of what I just did in that first one. If I times by 1 plus sine x over 1 plus sine x, you'll see I'll end up with cos x 1 plus sine x all over 1 minus sine squared x. Now 1 minus sine squared x is cos squared x. I've got cos x 1 plus sine x over cos squared x. So one of those in the denominator cancels with the top. So now I have 1 plus sine x over cos x. So that becomes 1 over cos x if I split my fraction plus sine x over cos x. 1 over cos x is sec x. Sine x plus cos x is tan x. So that's my right-hand side, and I am done. Now, when I would be doing these proofs, I don't have a lot of room here, but I would be writing at this point here that identity again, showing why I'm replacing that 1 minus sine squared x. Okay, so at this point I would write sine squared x plus cos squared x equals 1. So 1 minus sine squared x is cos squared x. Okay, let's look at the next one. The left-hand side is definitely more complicated. And in this one, I'm going to do let's get it all in terms of sine x and cos x. So cosec x is 1 over sine x. Tan x is sine x over cos x. And cot x is cos x over sine x. So that becomes 1 over sine x. Let's get a common denominator on the bottom in our denominator. So sine x cos x. So the first fraction I already have the cos, so I need the sine. So that becomes sine squared x. Second fraction I already have the sine, but I need the cos. So that becomes plus cos squared x. So now I have 1 over sine x all over 1 over sine x cos x, which then becomes sine x cos x over sine x. My sines cancel, so I'm left with cos x, which is my right-hand side. Done.